All right, folks, today I want to talk about raising your prices, how to raise your prices, and when to raise your prices. If you run a business, this is something that you simply must embrace. In fact, if you were to watch only one video of mine in the entrepreneurship business owner category, this may just be the most important one.
What?
Unless you're an infinitely scalable software business, chances are sky high that raising prices is in your future. And if you're busy, tired, or just kind of beat down as time goes on, believe it or not, raising your prices is like a miracle drug for the illness of work exhaustion.
60% of the time, it works every time.
I want to walk you through this step by step and show you that this is not nearly as scary as it feels. Because I know just the thought of raising your prices probably gives you some level of anxiety. Will customers leave? Will customers complain? Reality is they probably won't. And if they do, it's okay because I'm going to show you how to turn that extremely rare outcome into an advantage. When this video is over, I want you to be excited to raise your prices. And 2 months from now, I want you to come back here and comment on how your journey on this went. Stay with me and let's change your life for the better. I first want to start with when to raise your prices, because answering the question of when you should raise your prices is actually far less mysterious than it seems. A couple of weeks ago, I sat down with a friend of mine, a business owner, and I could tell that he was beat down, tired. He's been working 6 days a week, busting his tail for the sake of his business. My friend Ed runs a house cleaning business. He has several years of experience, and on any given day, he's running 2 crews of 3 people each. In all honesty, his business is a well-oiled machine, except for this one telltale sign. I asked him how his customer numbers were doing. How many houses do you have on the books right now? Do you have room for more, or are you tapped out? He paused, lowered his head, and simply said, "Matt, I'm exhausted. I can't handle any more." So I asked him, "When's the last time you raised your prices?" He said proudly, "I've never raised my prices." Now, let's press pause right there, because while I can see that never raising your prices on your customer base could be worn like a badge of pride, it's unfortunately very problematic and it might actually sink your ship. So if you want to know how you know when it's time to raise your prices, this is one red flag that is easy to spot, i.e. you've been in business for years and you've never raised prices before. Another red flag might be that you're just overly busy. But let me clarify, because 9 times out of 10, busy simply means that you're spending too much time doing that which isn't important. But if you happen to be busy and you can confidently say that you're managing your time perfectly and everything you're doing is important, then it's absolutely time to raise your prices. Another way I like to measure this timing would be to see your reaction to a new customer signing on. If someone tells you today, "I'm in, I'm buying, sign me up," are you excited or are you overwhelmed because you have to serve one more customer? This is one I see all the time, and that is the lack of excitement over a new customer. If stress levels rise because one more person said yes, then it's time to raise prices. Now, your pricing probably lands somewhere on a continuum that looks like this. What are my costs and what can the market bear? First and foremost, you better already know what number you assign over here. Not trying to be rude, but if you don't know your costs, then you probably don't have any business running a business. As for what the market can bear, how would you ever know the answer to that question if you've never tested the boundaries of those limits? But just as an example, let's say your pricing lands somewhere in the middle. And if you do nothing, here's what that's worth next year and the year after that. Because remember, inflation is going to happen every year, whether you like it or not. So each year that goes by with you making the same as you did last year, you're actually going backwards because you're not even keeping up with inflation, much less outpacing it. The dollar you make today simply isn't worth that same dollar next year. In a time like right now, inflation is sky high. Currently, inflation is measured at 6.8%. So literally, if you're not making 6.8% than you did last year, your income is going backwards. And every year, that nasty little devaluing of the dollar is going to land somewhere between 3%, the historical average, and 6.8% as it stands currently. But those are just averages. Some industries have been absolutely hammered by inflation. Just as an example, gasoline is 51% higher now than it was a year ago.
What'd you just say?
So if your business involves driving of any kind, delivering goods or driving between client sites, your costs have skyrocketed. And how do you plan on coping with those cost increases? You need to have an answer for that question.
Yeah.
But getting back to my earlier point, if you aren't excited about a new customer, then you've simply gone too long on your current pricing structure. You need to run your business so that each time you gain a new customer, it's great news and not exhausting news like, crap, I have to find a way to serve this new customer. Let me go back to my man Ed and use his scenario as a case study. He's got just over 100 homes on the books with an average of $130 in revenue every other week. So let's just say it's 100 houses times 130 times 26, since they'll clean each house 26 times a year. That's $338,000 a year in revenue, or roughly $28,000 per month. And out of that $28,000 per month, he's paying all of his employees, paying for all the cleaning supplies, gas in the vans, and then as the owner, he gets to keep what's left over. Now, remember, Ed is tired enough that he can't take on any more homes. But what if he raised his prices from $130, what he's charged for several years now, to $145? That would be 100 times 145 times 26 for $377,000 in annual revenue, or just over $31,000 per month. That's a 9% increase since he's never raised his prices in history, and that's over $3,000 in extra profit per month. Now, for this business, that's pretty serious money. He could afford to give bonuses, pay his tenured employees more, hire more people, and simply make a little bit more to alleviate the stress that he's buried under right now. I wish you could have seen his face when I told him, bro, you could be raking in $3,000 in extra money every month. Why? I mean, who among us would enjoy a $30,000 raise? But just like many of you, he was a little scared. He said, Matt, what if my customers get mad? Well, so what? Get mad, leave. I doubt any will, but if someone loves their cleaning service for $130, they'll manage to at least like it for $145. And if a customer actually does leave, then that makes room for a new customer to come in at the new price since he's so busy he can't take on new customers. In fact, if it was my business, I would keep quoting slightly higher prices to new customers until I heard no. Maybe get some 150s or 155s, then $1 or $2 up for each new customer. This is why when you're tapped out, raising your prices is like a miracle drug. The vast majority of your customer base will keep on keeping on, and if someone actually leaves, they'll be replaced by a new customer at the higher rate. The reality is people don't want to leave. People are paying you because they like your business. They like your product or your service. If you've never raised prices, no one is leaving because of a 10% price increase. If you're running a gym, you can take that $30 membership fee to $33. It literally doesn't matter what you do. Mow lawns, build websites, cut hair, sell phone cases, or provide legal advice. There's probably room for a price increase if you haven't done one in a while, or ever. Now, before I get into how you actually roll out your price increase, let me mention this. You don't have to raise your prices evenly across the board. First, you need to reassess your costs and compare them to last year and the year before. You may have some ground to make up here. If you're a service business, you may find that some of your customers need to pay more. Some customers may be easier to serve than others. You may love some of your customers and you may have a few that you can't stand. You might decide that the problem customers are getting a larger price increase than the easy customers or the ones you love. Maybe it's a 7 or 8% increase for the best customers and a 10 or 15% increase for the hard customers. In the case of my man Ed, about 10% of his houses are crazy dirty every time he gets there, so them nasty folks need to pony up and pay more than everybody else. Time is money, and if one customer is constantly eating up more time than everyone else, they need to pay for that time. Okay, now how do you actually implement your price increase? Well, every case is a little different, but let me give you a few examples. On one hand, you could just email your customers and explain to them that due to an increase in cost, which you probably had, you just ignored, you have to roll out a minor price increase. There are dozens of legitimate reasons why you need to raise your prices. Think of a few that will resonate and be understood by your customers and cite those reasons. Most people are more understanding than you might guess. And I'm a huge fan of the good news, good news letters. You sandwich that which is perceived as bad news in between two pieces of good news. Quick example. Great news. Our business is continuing to grow and we see no reason why we can't continue to service our customers and do everything we can to exceed your expectations on a regular basis. However, as a result of reasons 1, 2, and 3, we have to roll out a very minor price increase to cope with the changing landscape. We are honored that you've chosen to partner with us and we are excited to work for you in the foreseeable future. Now, if you have any new offerings or features rolling out, I would package that in some of the good news. That way it turns into a you're getting something and we're getting something. If you've got a large customer base, I recommend you rolling out your price increase in phases. You can inform 10 to 20 customers of the increase and see how it goes. You might learn that you need to massage your messaging. You might learn that there are better ways to communicate the news or better ways to answer questions that come up. And after that phase 1 is finished, maybe widen the scope to the next group by notifying 20 or 30 this time. But one thing I can tell you is this. You'll be surprised how easy this really is and how little pushback you'll actually get. And if your business is doing okay, you're covering costs and your employees are doing pretty good, a lot of the price increase will go to the bottom line. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just have a little extra margin in the revenue bucket?
Mr. Gray. Yes.
Now, here's the sad part for me. I don't know who's watching or what business you're in, but I'm still excited for those of you that will charge forward. You simply cannot charge year after year what you've always charged. That plan will not work. If you're uncomfortable with the idea of raising your prices, you need to embrace the idea and get used to a little discomfort. Because remember, nothing good ever came out of your comfort zone. Every great breakthrough and every new peak you've ever experienced was not born from your comfort zone. I mean, it's kind of absurd to think that you can get where you want to go and think that the road all the way there will be comfortable. But seriously, in 2 to 3 months, I want you to come back to this video and drop a comment on how things went for you. We'll all learn something from your experience. Hey, thanks for watching. I truly hope this helps you. If you got value out of this, punch like, subscribe, and ring that bell for me. That way you'll be notified when I release more videos. Take care, y'all.